Hi, this is Greg with Lionquestfitness. Today we're going to be talking about the infamous knockout game. But before we do that, I want everybody to see the guns that I used and am going to use in explaining some of the techniques that you can use to try to defeat the knockout game. All right, first off, now all three of these guns are loaded. So I'm going to be very careful, as always. But this is a 1972 Chief Special, nicknamed El Gato Negro. It's one I rotate. I've got three old Chief Specials that I carry a good bit, especially during the summertime. And I'm carrying it in this Azula pocket holster. Now, I've used a lot of very good pocket holsters like the Mika holster, but this is my favorite. It's stiff but malleable, and it holds the gun very well in the pocket. Now, we're going to shoot a Glock 19 today, and we're going to be using one of the Azula two-slot pancake holsters. See how close that brings to the body, for retention? And look, this holster is very rugged looking. You've got this band across the holster. You've got double stitching, and it's just manly looking. You want to boost your testosterone, start wearing leather holsters again. Now, last but not least, with a Taurus 856, we've got an Azula outside holster. This is meant for outdoor use, and it's meant for cross carry, cross draw, and it has this security flap, which I like a lot. Now, even though this is meant for more open carry, I can still carry this gun a good bit with this holster. Under a sweater, under a vest, under a loose or baggy shirt or jacket, it hides very well, especially this time of year. And this has become one of my favorite styles of holster. And it's not hard to get out, as you will see in the subsequent video. Now let's talk about the infamous knockout game. It seems to have declined in popularity in recent years, but 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago, it was very popular for groups of teens, both male and female, to come up on an unsuspecting person, to blindside them, and boom, try to knock them out. And obviously, they tried to find people who were distracted, or maybe who were elderly, or who were infirm. And they would put these videos on Facebook and TikTok and other social media. And there were many people who were injured very seriously. If memory serves me right, there may have even been some deaths caused by this so-called game. Now, being blindsided is as old as man. And I'll give you three examples. One, back in the 70s, an uncle of mine was going through a very nasty divorce, and he was in a TG&Y parking lot, if memory serves me right, was getting out of his car, and from the side and from behind, one of her relatives, who may have had a bludgeon, came up from behind, hit him in the side of the head, and then beat him very badly. All right, that's an example. I'll give you another story from probably the early 90s, late 80s. I was in my early 30s. I'd been in law enforcement for 9 years at the time. I was a very competent martial artist, weighed all of 170 pounds, very athletic. And I shared a house with my youngest brother. And at that time, he was dating a girl who was of legal age, but younger than him. So one night, 3 o'clock in the morning, I hear a knock on the door. All right, I come to the door. I'm wearing sweatpants, no shirt. I open the door. Okay, well, there's this young lady's brother standing on the porch. Meanwhile, her ex-boyfriend is standing to the side. And when I walked out and saw them, and they saw the look on my face, they were expecting my brother, and they both stepped off the porch. All right. So what they were going to do, they were going to distract while the other one hit. All right. Well, it didn't work out like they thought it was going to work out. So that's example 2. Now let me give you a third example, and this makes a very good point about being aware. Some years ago, actually 2 decades ago, I had taken a group of students from different programs from the Career Center I worked to Kansas City for Skills USA competition. And I had taken them to see the Steamship Museum. But to get to the museum, we had to travel across town and catch 2 different buses in a very rough part of Kansas City. Now, one girl was a cosmetology student, nothing against cosmetology, but this young lady was very oblivious of what went on around her. And we were standing at a bus stop. I saw looked like a homeless woman come up mumbling, probably schizophrenic, cursing, and boom, she hit that girl on the side of the head, and then away she went before I could do anything about it. However, that young lady, once again, she was oblivious to what was going on around her, where she could, if she had been aware, immediately have gotten out of the way. All right, so now, before we start with the demonstrations, let me offer some caveats. All right, caveat number 1. I am no great martial arts or self-defense expert. However, in my 65 years of living, I have seen and done many things, some when I was a young man that I'm ashamed of, fights and brawls and such. But as a police officer, I learned for 2 decades, I learned and dealt with many violent people, some who were very fervently trying to take my life at the time, and dealt with people who did not want to go to jail. So I'm no stranger to that end of physical violence. And obviously, as a law enforcement officer, you use the minimum force necessary. I spent a lot of years training in Woge Kwan Hapkido, and I spent several years subsequent to that where I trained in Kajikimbo as a black belt student. And over the years, I've been able to put different things together that I feel work, that I've trained students, law enforcement students, to do that they found actually work, if they actually trained, actually worked. And that brings up another thing. To make a technique work, you have to train it. Now, there's no guarantee. There's always somebody faster, stronger, better trained. And as we age, we slow down. First off, you want to be aware of what's around you, your peripheral vision. All right, you notice somebody charging at you at a rapid pace. Now, the block's going to be upward block, almost in a circular motion. You're going to block, you're going to strike with the palm, strike up under the nose or to the jaw. Then you're going to step back. You're going to draw your firearm, issue a challenge. Get back. Be aware if there's other people with them or around them, which there probably will be. Now this works both sides. And say like you're facing the other direction. Same thing. You're going to block up. And then you're going to strike. Step back. Draw your firearm. And issue a challenge if you can. Get back. So let's see how this looks. We'll do it 2 ways. One where I issue the challenge, that stops the threat. The other, they keep coming. So let's see how it works. Back off. Back off. Now last, I put together a training montage, and these are some of the, like a 1-step, 2-step, 3-step, kata type thing that I train. And I do this, I train like this for about 30 to 40 minutes 3 times a week. And then 3 other days I do, push-ups, sit-ups, isometrics. And, I work out just about every day. But I'm consistent, and I don't always, sometimes I press for time, but if I can do 15 minutes, I can do 15 minutes. And hint, hint, maybe you can too. So anyway, these are things that I put together to keep me able to defend myself or to defend my loved ones. Now, some of you are going to think they're comical. You'll see the look on my face, and the look on my face is not a nice look because I hate violence. And I hate that disgusted look I have on my face is the look of, I do not appreciate having to injure another human being. Okay. Right. So anyway, I hope you enjoy it. And I've been doing this a good chunk of my life, and I try to maintain a decent level of fitness. But, I've had times where I've fallen off the wagon due to life, stress, etc. And, fitness is a journey. You take one step at a time. And this is Greg, and I hope you enjoy the montage.